In today's video, I'm going to talk about order of operations. So sometimes you will be given a mathematical expression, problem, or sum that involves more than one operation. It's important to know how to solve those particular questions because there's a particular order that you need to follow in order to answer questions like that. And we are going to dive into those different, into that particular order, right? There are many different acronyms that are used for order of operations. We have PEMDAS, we have BODMAS, we have BIDMAS, right? For our sake, we are going to use BODMAS, right? Now, basically, BODMAS is the blueprint. It tells us the order in which we should solve certain problems mathematically. The B stands for brackets, the O stands for order, right? So when it comes to order, we are talking about indices or roots. So by indices, that's when a number is raised to another power. You remember last week we were doing powers, right? So when a number has an exponent, 2 to the power of 5, 5 to the power of 8, or when it's a root, the square root of 64, which is 8, the square root of 144, which is 12, the square root of 121, which is 11, the square root of 4, which is 2, and things like that. It means you have to start by solving the brackets first. If there are no brackets or after solving the brackets, you move on to the indices. If there's any exponents or powers that you need to solve, if there's any roots that you need to solve, then you solve those next, and then you move on to divide. Now, division and multiplication are both, we call them inverse operations, right? So if you divide to get a particular answer, you can usually operate backwards by multiplying in order to get to the initial number, right? So, for example, um, 5, 10 divided by 5 is equals to 2. And then backwards, 2 times 5 is equals to 10. So, because division and multiplication are inverse operations. Whenever you have a sum that has division and multiplication, you solve from left to right. It's not necessary that division must come first or multiplication must come first. It depends on which is left, right? You solve from left to right. I will explain all of that. But division and multiplication come before addition and subtraction, which is at the bottom. And just like division and multiplication, addition and subtraction are also inverse operations. 2 plus 1 is 3, 3 minus 1 is 2, right? You can sort of work backwards, back and forth using those two operations. So when it comes to addition and subtraction, you also add or you subtract from left to right, depending on which operation comes first. I will explain this in further slides. Right. So you have brackets first, you have your indices or roots, so that's your powers, exponents, and so on and so forth. And then you have division, so you divide or you multiply from left to right, whichever comes first. Multiplication, you multiply or divide from left to right, whichever comes first. And then addition, you add or subtract from left to right, whichever comes first. Subtraction, you subtract or add from left to right, whichever comes first. So, right, in order to make this easier, I've devised a checklist, right? So, whenever there's a question like this where you need to use the order of operations, you can write BODMAS on the side there just as a nice little checklist for yourself. Right. So we're going to start with B. So that's for brackets. Do we have any brackets in this particular question? No, we don't. So I'm just going to take that off. Next, we have indices or exponents. That's your order. Do we have any exponents, powers, or square roots in this question? Right? I'm going to take that off as well. And then we have division. Do we have any division in this particular question? We don't have any division. and then next is multiplication. Do we have multiplication?
Yes.
Right. Now, because we have multiplication, and when you look at this particular question, multiplication happens to be the second operation when you go from left to right. But you start with multiplication because multiplication and division are always done before addition and subtraction. Right. So, what I do usually is I will rewrite 2 plus 3 because I'm not solving that at the moment, right? Right, times 6, right? You can put some brackets here for yourself, not necessary. I just like doing it. Um, right, next, it's 2 plus, then you solve your multiplication problem first. What is 3 times 6? That's 18. So you write 18 right here. Equals to 2 plus 18 is 20. Right. And just like that, you have utilized BODMAS to solve the particular problem. Right. Next, we have 3 plus 5 times 2. Come on. Do we have any brackets in this particular question? Right. So I'm just going to check that off. Do we have any indices or roots? We don't. Check that off. Do we have any division? Right? This question is very similar to the last one, but we do have multiplication, right? So I'm just going to go 3 plus, so I'll just solve it right away in the next step. 5 times 2, so you're going to put 10 over there, equals to 3 plus 10 is equal to 13, right? So you've done your multiplication and you've done your addition. There's no subtraction. So you can leave it as it is. Next, we have 14 divided by 2 plus 3. 14 divided by 2 plus 3. Okay, so here we are going to need a bunch of, to employ a bunch of tools here. Right, do we have brackets here?
Yes.
We do have brackets, right. So you have your 14 divided by, right, so I'm rewriting it as it is because I'm going to have to solve the brackets first. 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. And now I have 40 divided by 5. Right. There are no exponents, um, but we do have division. So now that's what we have to do. So my favorite method of division. Long division, which is not really going to be that long. Right? So obviously when you use long division to solve a problem, you start with the first digit. Does 5 divide into 1 or does it go into 1? No, it doesn't. Does it 5 divide into 14? You open the second one. It does, right? How many times? Right. You write your 2 right on top here. And then after division, what comes next? Multiplication. What am I multiplying? 2 times 5, and that will give me absolutely 10. What comes after multiplication? What am I subtracting? 14 minus 10, and that's going to give me 4. Right. And then after that, you check, right? Does 5 divide into 4? Does it go into 4? Without it, it doesn't, right? It gives you a decimal answer. So is there any number left to bring down? So what is the final answer? Right. 2 remainder 4 will be your final answer in this particular case. There's no multiplication, there's no addition. Well, there was in the brackets, I suppose, right? But there's no subtraction. And just like that, you have solved your problem. Next, 12 minus 5 plus 4. Pretty straightforward. We don't have any brackets, right? I'm just going to take that off. We don't have any exponents. We don't have any roots. I'm just going to take that off as well. We don't have any division. Take that off. We don't have any multiplication. I'm going to take that off. We do have addition. We do have subtraction. So here's my question to you. Which one am I going to do first? No. Remember what I said to you? Because addition and subtraction are inverse operations. How do I solve them? Aha, left to right. So in this case, we have subtraction first, right? So I'm going to say 12 minus 5. 12 minus 5 is equal to 7 plus 4. 7 plus 4, and that's my final answer. I've done my addition, I've done my subtraction. Next, 6 times 5 plus 1. 6 times 5 plus 1. Do we have any brackets, boys and girls? We're going to start with our brackets, obviously. So it's 6 multiplied by, what is 5 plus 1? 6 times 6? It's 36. It's 36. That's it. It's a two-step process. There's no need to overthink it. There's no division, none of that other wonky stuff. By the way, this is only the first level of BODMAS. We are going to get a bit more complex, right, as time goes on. Right, next, 15 divided by 5 plus 3. Do we have any brackets? We don't have any brackets. Do you have any exponents, indices, powers, roots? No, we don't. Um, do we have any division? We do, right? So let's divide. What's 15 divided by 5? That's 3 plus 3. Do we have any multiplication? Do we have addition? We're going to go with that. 3 plus 3 is equal to Danko. And that is your final answer. That is how you do that.